Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to all of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover. And through my channel, I share with you techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. You can either leave me comments, questions in my videos, or you can ask them here live, which I think is the most beneficial, honestly. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I just hit 13,000. I still can't wrap my head around that. That is just amazing. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who has supported this channel. I really appreciate it. Um, for those of you that have been here before, you probably know that every week I have a new poll. And today's poll is, what do you do when voiceover or audiobook work is slow? See, I jumble words too. I'm human. Um, and of course, the poll answers that you have to select from, and so far we have 10 votes, are market, promote, and refresh. And 10% of you said that you would do that. The second option was audition like crazy, and 10% of you said that. 18% of you said learn a new skill, which I think is important. And 64% of you said all of the above. Good for you guys. That's awesome. I say no matter what it is, if work is slow, keep moving forward. And that can be in recording a new demo, reading a book off your shelf out loud, practice, right? Refresh those demos in all your profiles. Start being more active on a social media platform. I just finally got back into TikTok yesterday. I TikTok's my guilty pleasure, but I haven't really been active on TikTok. I don't know why, but I'm an introvert. But an introvert with a YouTube channel, go figure that out. But I think learning a new skill is also very important, because if you think about it, if you're not doing voiceover work, but you have all of the equipment, you have the DAW, you have even just a basic idea of how technology works, or maybe not even technology, but like how you can put audio together, consider learning something new and putting that knowledge into maybe learning how to edit video. I think video editing is just huge. There's a huge need for video editing right now in all shapes and sizes. So having the equipment to not only edit the video, but then to maybe add voiceover to it, there's a lot of skills out there that you can learn to bring in additional streams of revenue with the equipment that you already have. So I think learning a new skill is very important. So just to check back in, 12 votes now. So 8% market, promote, refresh, which is important. 8% audition like crazy, which is also important. Learning a new skill, 25% of you, important. And all of the above, 58%, which is amazing. Good job, guys. That's awesome. It's fabulous. So I'm going to hop over to the comments now because I know we have some questions. We had a lot of questions. Holy Moses. Let's go start here. Rebecca Stinks. Hi. First time joining the live stream. Well, thank you for joining. I'm glad to have you. And excited to finally catch it live. Well, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Kylan Weber. I'm reading a book that has Latin species names in it. Where can I go to verify I'm pronouncing those genus and species names correctly? Great question. I typically turn to two different sources. I turn to first Merriam-Webster online, because you can look up a word and its definition and all of that stuff. But then you can also click the little speaker icon and listen to it as it's pronounced. And then you could also go to youglish.com. That's youglish.com. On that website, you can type in the word that you want to hear as other people are saying it, multiple people, hopefully, and you hit search, and it'll take you to any of the YouTube videos on YouTube where that word is pronounced in a video. So you can actually hear it in real time being spoken by the person in the video. And I like doing that for like regional city names. So you can hear how the locals perhaps pronounce it. So in that respect, I think it's helpful, but I like to hear it from at least two different sources. I used to go to Google a lot and have Google pronounce it for me, but I find that half the time it's not correct. Usually it's an automated voice just kind of phonetically pronouncing it. Sometimes it's right. I mean, you'll have other people contributing YouTube videos where they're pronouncing these words and they're correct, but sometimes on Google, it's hit or miss, but it's a great question. Sounds like a fun book. Educational anyway. Rebecca Stink says, when you first started VO, did you take any classes and do private coaching? I did. Well, not when I first started. I would say I was about a year and a half in because I like to consider myself a pretty quick learner and I can absorb things quickly, but I maybe a little hard-headed too. But about a year and a half in, I was doing really, really well. And then I hit this plateau where I wasn't really gaining any more traction. I wasn't getting any further. I was kind of just stuck at like this level area. And I reached out to my friend, Anthony Pico, who had just started to offer coaching. And I chose him because he was in a place where I wanted to be. He was doing very, very well on multiple platforms, namely Fiverr, this was a few years ago, but um, he seemed to have the secret sauce for Fiverr, namely. So, and I really thought that I could I was comfortable with him, right? So I reached out to him because A, he was where I wanted to be, and B, because I felt like I could comfortably have conversations with him. And it really, really does help. And I coached with him for about a year, and it was money well invested. Absolutely. Rebecca Stings also then says, excuse me, the frog has entered the room. Can you talk more about your mouth clicky plugin for Audition in more detail? Also, did you start out using Audacity early in your journey? I'll start with the second half because it's a faster answer, but Audacity, yes, I started out using Audacity in the first maybe 2 or 3 months of starting with VoiceOver because A, it's free, and B, there was some people still using it that I followed on YouTube, so I could apply the information that I was gleaning from them to Audition. But my partner was using Audition for work, and he's like, "Well, here, check this out." And I'm like, "Okay." So I used it. I just, played with it a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I discovered that a lot more people that I was following on YouTube were using Audition. So I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be something to it. And once I start to understand and learn Audition, it seemed like I was looking at VoiceOver through a straw. Now, mind you, this was years ago, and Audacity has come a long way since 3 years ago. They've added a lot more features and effects and stuff. So Audacity is a very good DAW for being free, right? So I'm not knocking Audacity, but my preference was Audition. I became much more comfortable with it. And if you think about it, your DAW is one of the most important parts of this business because you're looking at it, you're using it hours and hours and hours for every single project. You have to be comfortable with the DAW that you use. So I guess that really wasn't a super short answer, was it? But in regard to the mouth clicky plugin, the plugin is called Mouth Declick, and it comes from Isotope, Izotope, and it's in the RX9 package, which is the audio repair bundle of plugins. There is a declick and there is a mouth declick. You want the mouth declick, and I believe that is available in two different packages. Not Elements, which is their base package, but the standard and the advanced package, both, last time I checked anyway, had the mouth declick in it. And the mouth declick works very, very well for removing mouth noise, which as you know, as a voice actor, is just one of the banes of our existence, right? Because you can't really get around it. I mean, you can hydrate, you can do the green apples, you can brush your teeth right before. All of these other things that I have heard to do just didn't seem to work for me. I don't know why. Maybe I just have a naturally sticky mouth. I don't know what it is. But the mouth declick was very, very useful in removing a good 80% of the mouth noise, which, as you know, in the post process, trying to airbrush to healing brush out all of the mouth clicks and pops and stuff just takes so long. But having that one single plugin has definitely cut my editing time down by a good 80%, if not more. And then as I go through, after I apply the effect, as I go through the file to remove my mistakes, then I can just look for any errant mouth clicks that didn't get removed by that plugin. So I can just, brush it out and then move on. So it's one of the best one of the best purchases I've ever made. I highly recommend it. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Sally Morrill is here. Hi, Angela from Pensacola, Florida. Blue Angels are flying. Oh, how cool. Not really good for not conducive to a good voiceover recording environment, but that is pretty cool. Robert Palmore is here. Good morning, Robert. Ralph Tolles is here. Good morning. Good morning, Angela, and participants. Ralph from Fresno. God, I haven't been to Fresno in so long. Just One Voice. Hi. Hi, Just One Voice. Thank you for joining. Mark Flores says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, Mark. Thanks for joining today. Danny Makhijani. I hope I said that right. Don't hate me. Good morning from San Diego. Good morning, Danny. Thanks for joining. John Popovich is also here. Good morning, John. VoiceOver Van Deen. Thanks for bringing the frogs. Yeah, I see it's your fault. Afternoon, all. Now chilling with a beer here in the scorching hot UK. Yeah. I heard that on the news. Good golly. I heard that on the news that the UK, most of Europe, was having just a huge, crazy heat wave. That's insane. Man, that really stinks. Kylin, is it Kylin or Killin? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry. Thanks. Oh my gosh. Bayou Voiceovers LLC. That's a cool name. Hello from Louisiana. Appropriate name. My name is Big John, my first time here, and my first time doing voiceovers. Are there any specific RMS settings to record a Fiverr demo like the settings in ACX? No. ACX is, let me just back up and say audiobooks have a pretty stringent, relatively speaking, file requirement than all the other voiceovers do. The only thing to keep in mind for doing voiceover work anywhere else other than for audiobook distribution is that if in the specs or in the message, in the conversation, that the client asks you for specific file requirements, whether they want at a specific sample or bit rate, or if they want it in a specific file format, meaning WAV or MP3, that would be the only time to really be cognizant, really, of what type of file you need to deliver to the client. But RMS, not so much. 98% of the time, I just deliver it as I deliver it, which is typically at a 4800 sample rate and a 32-bit and a WAV. That's typically how I deliver my files, unless, of course, it's an audiobook. Then you have to worry about the noise floor, the RMS, the peak volume, all of that stuff. Good question. Savannah Scruggs. Good morning, Savannah. Morning. Do you recommend any books for people starting out in VO? Love your videos. Thanks. There is a book that I talked about. I have a few on my website in the recommended gear, or the tab is called VO gear, but that is a whole page of stuff that I recommend. Of course, any entrepreneurial book is good for a business in general, but for voiceover specifically, there was one that was recommended by someone in my group. It was Leonie King. I'm just trying to pluck this out of my brain. It might be wrong, but it's how to be an audiobook narrator, something of that nature. Someone had just mentioned it for like the second or third time. I'm trying to remember it. I have not read it, but I heard it was very, very good and helpful for narration pace, for accents, for telling a good story, stuff like that. But I did also talk about a book in a past video, and it's on my site too. That it's the voiceover, voice actor book. And this is also on Amazon. This is a pretty good one. There's a lot of great information in here about there's warm-ups, like vocal warm-ups and stuff. The ins and outs of auditioning, tips for reading copy to maximum effect, hints to help you stand out amongst the throng of other voiceover actors. There's a bonus workbook to hone your skills, performance capture, podcasting, and more. This book has been very, very good. I haven't read all of it, but just looking at some of the specific chapters, it's really super helpful. I think it would be really, really a really beneficial read for someone just starting out to give you kind of a leg up. So that's definitely one that I recommend. Red Barnes Audio, hi. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you. Rebecca Stink says, thank you so much for that detailed answer, Angela. I love your channel. It might have been a little too detailed. I have a tendency to go off on tangents, so I have to remember that I'm just throwing up information on people, and sometimes it's a little bit too much. Although some of you said that you liked my tangents, and I definitely say don't say that, because then I will go off on tangents all the time. Oh, I also wanted to say this before I forget, because knowing me, I probably would. But I have finally recorded a video on my new Lewitt 440 Pure microphone. I bought this microphone probably over a month ago now, maybe a couple months ago, and I've been promising to do an unboxing. Well, not maybe an unboxing, but a trial. I took it out for a test drive and compared it to my Sennheiser 416. So I had to put the Sennheiser back on, even though I liked the Lewitt, because I had a pickup session to do, so it had to sound the same. So I just left the Sennheiser on. But I have a premiere for that video today in just less than 2 hours. So 11 o'clock my time, which is, I believe, 2 o'clock Eastern. So pretty much an hour or so after this ends, it'll premiere. So stick around if you want to see that. Just thought I would mention it. But it's a great microphone for the money. Mr. Barnes says mouth declick is in standard and advanced only. Yeah, that's what I figured. I didn't think it was in elements. You gotta get the bigger packages for that, for sure. You know what? Let's hop over to the poll really quick and see how that's doing. And of course, today's poll is, what do you do when voiceover or audiobook work is slow? So right now we have 21 votes, and 5% of you said market, promote, refresh, right? And I wanted to really put market and promote in one category and then refresh in another, but you only have so many option slots for the poll. 5% of you said audition like crazy. 23% of you said learn a new skill. And 68% of you said all of the above. And I applaud you, because that is exactly what I would do. When you have more downtime than you usually do, take advantage of that time. I mean, you could take a little bit of a breather if you need that mental break, because I'm one of those people that believe that the universe will tell you things, right? Everything happens for a reason. So if you immediately have a work slowdown, that means that you need to slow down, right? So I usually don't really look that gift horse in the mouth. When I do have a slowdown, I take things a little bit slower, take maybe a little bit more time for myself, but I still get in the studio every single day and audition, refresh my demos, refresh my thumbnails, refresh my profiles, maybe get a little bit more active in certain places, um, start looking out for new connections on social media. But you always want to move forward. You always want to be doing something to benefit your business while you have downtime. Audition, all of these things, I think, and learning a new skill, I think is fabulous. Take some of that time, that downtime, and learn something new. Like I was saying earlier about video editing or something that you can utilize all of the equipment that you already have to help teach you a new skill and put that to use as well. I think these are all important things to do during a season of downtime. All right, let's go back to the comments. All right, where did I leave off? Oh my gosh. Holy Moses. Where am I at? Oh, here I am. Found it. Robert Palmore says, sorry, mate, everything's bigger in Texas. 111 degrees here. Holy Moses. It's 9:20-ish a.m. here in Phoenix, and it is already 98, but 111. But you guys are a couple hours ahead, though. I don't know, but still. So what's your high? What's your estimated high for today? Is it going to be 111 or is it going to get even hotter? Oh my gosh. Stacy K. Hi, Stace. Hello, everyone, Stacy says. Good morning, Stace. Sally Morrill says, there are some good YouTube videos online. Make sure you get latest version. Good point. Adobe Audition is, however, a much more powerful DAW. I love Adobe. There are a lot of people that argue with you. I find that a lot. I always talk about how great I find Audition to be. And some people will argue with me and they say Audacity is so much better or Reaper is so much better. And everybody has a preference, and that's okay because there are so many DAWs out there and you have to find one that you can work with, one that just feels right, one that speaks to you. Because again, that's a very important piece of your everyday business. So you have to be comfortable with it. But yeah, personally, I'm on the Audition fan club for sure. Grant Bunting says, good morning. Good morning, Angela. I'm just getting started. I've got much of my equipment. There's a lot to learn in Adobe Audition. Excuse me. In the process of putting together an audio booth from vocal booths to go, I'm trying to remember this company. I have heard that a lot, and I've seen this company a couple times. Are these the ones that are PVC and like maybe moving blankets? Or are these the ones that are more like hard paneled sides? Or are they just like half booths where they just kind of block out what's immediately around you, but don't go all the way down? I don't remember which ones these are. Vocal booths to go. Bayou Voiceovers LLC says, thank you so much. Thank you. And I would love visiting Louisiana is on my bucket list. I would love to see the French Quarter before I die. Oh my gosh. Okay, Grant Bunting says, just did a noise floor test. So I bought a fanless computer on Prime Day. Hope it helps solve the problem. I've heard a lot about these fanless computers, and when I was looking for a computer that was fanless, I couldn't find a whole lot that was it maybe not powerful or didn't have or wasn't compatible with maybe like the video card or something. I don't remember what it was that I couldn't buy one. But ultimately what I ended up doing is just moving my computer outside my studio. And that is something that I recommend too. If you are not in a place to go get a new computer, or even if you're, if it's touted as a silent computer, but it's not really, because there's still something in there that's moving around or making some kind of noise, try to move it away from your microphone as much as possible. What I did is I just there are extra long cords for just about every application available on Amazon. So if you need an extra long USB-C to USB-C for your interface, whatever it is, extra long HDMI cords, get a couple extra long cords and don't get the connectors, the ones that are extensions and connect together. You want a nice, clean, long one cord if you can. And get yourself a couple long cords and move that computer as far away from your microphone as you can if it makes noise. That is the best solution that I have found works for me. It might just help you in your situation too. That was one of the things I struggled with for a long, long time, was just trying to find the source of noise, because that is, I think, the best way to fix a noise problem is to find the root of the noise and reduce it or remove it or move it as far away as you can, if you can. I hope it helps, though. Keep us posted on your fanless computer. Stacy K says, was the book Storyteller by Lorelei King? That's the one. Thank you, Stacy. See, you should join every Tuesday just to, keep me on my toes. But you're absolutely right. That was the one that I believe Daniel was talking about in the last group session we had. Lorelei King, the book, The Storyteller. Is it just Storyteller by Lorelei King, or was it something about audiobook Storyteller? But that's the one. That's the book I was thinking of. Mark Flores says, ready to upgrade from my Focusrite 2i2. What's a good next step? Not ready for an Apollo Twin, but a good next step. Was considering an Audient ID14, but wondering if Audient, I think I said that wrong, but wondering if you know any other ones. I think I also have a few other ones that I've heard really good things about on my recommended gear page, my VO gear page on my website. I've heard really great things about the Audient ID14. There's an M-Box one, an M-Audio. There's a few good ones, but I tend to find that most of the people that I talk to either have an Apollo Twin, a Focusrite, or an Audient, or maybe even an M-Audio. Most of the people that I talk to. So there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with any of those. The only thing that I would be remiss if I didn't mention, but the Apollo Twin for Windows users, and I know they're still doing their testing phase, but I have found that there is one specific element that doesn't, as of right now, play well with the Apollo Twin. Some people says it's not even a factor. Some people have really big issues with it. But make sure whichever interface that you buy, make sure that your connections, your I/O, right, the plugs that you use to plug into your interface and then into your computer are compatible with the computer that you have. Amongst other things, make sure that your chipsets, that your graphics cards, whatever it is, your motherboards, that everything that you currently have is going to be compatible with that new interface. That is one of the biggest things that really what it comes down to. Me personally, I use a Focusrite Claret, and I've had it for years, and I think it's fine. And I did notice a difference because I also had actually I had the Solo. I had the Focusrite Solo years ago and worked with that forever, but I did notice a slight difference. It sounded a little bit crisper, cleaner, like there was less noise in coming from my Claret. But all of those are good interfaces. Oh my gosh, it's getting hot in here. Whew, pardon me while I turn on my air conditioner. And yes, I have mine on a app on my phone. Thank goodness. VoiceOver Van Deen says, 34 watching, only 7 likes. Don't forget Angela likes her algorithm tickled on a Tuesday. I do, in fact. Thank you. I appreciate you. Robert Palmore says, after hopping over to the poll, do you do a little dancing while there? Robert, we've had this conversation before. This is a family show. Let's keep it respectful now. Come on. Ralph Toll says, I don't mind the tangents. You usually have additional golden nuggets of info. Don't tell me that. I'm trying to rein myself in on tangents. Don't approve of my tangents. But good. I'm glad that you find some nuggets in there. Gia Sanchez is here. Good morning. Good morning. What an amazing voiceover artist you are. Oh, stop it. I bowed down. Just stop it. Stop it. I don't no, stop it. Just started 3 days ago, and surprisingly, with your help, I sound great. Well, that's fabulous. I think that calls for hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I haven't had to use this yet today. Or I'm such a dork. I have to have a reason to use that. So congratulations. And thank you. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. And then she continues, had a heck of a time doing sample. When I went to correct an Adobe Audition, it would consonantly or constantly skip. Now it's better. Yeah, Adobe Audition, well, really anything like techie in your studio, you really need to be aware of how all of the settings are. That your sample rates from your interface into your DAW all match. I mean, there's a lot that you have to be aware of. Otherwise, you're going to have little hiccups here and there, little tech gremlins. They like to come in and just make things difficult on me. So I get it. I feel your pain. Gia says, how many auditions should you post daily? I have started with 2 every other day, about to set Fiverr. Have most all the equipment, XLR mic, blankets for my closet, but right now using Shield and pop filter. Sorry, just excited to see you live. Hang on, there's more. And then she says, funny, had to cut it up. And then Florida, we are competing with everyone. Yeah, I think the whole planet is just uber hot at the moment. Going back to your audition question, how many auditions should you post daily? I think a lot of people will tell you to have, to do this many or maybe do this many. I think you need to set a realistic goal for yourself, depending upon your own situation and your own work schedule and all of the other things that you need to do in the day. Because a lot of you are still, employed by someone else and then doing this part-time at home. So taking into consideration how much time you do have in a day to record and submit auditions, as you're doing auditions, kind of get a feeling of how long it's taking you to do, and then make yourself a realistic goal. If it's 3 a day, if it's 5 a day, if it's 10 a day, if it's 1 a day, if it's 3 a week, if it's 10 a week, whatever it is for you, set a goal for yourself and try to adhere to that every day. But obviously, just like everything else, it's a numbers game, right? The more times that you put yourself out there, the more opportunity you have of crossing paths with the casting director or the rights holder, an author of a book that is looking for your voice, your delivery. So the more you can put yourself out there, the more likely you'll be winning those auditions. But you don't want to push yourself too hard, or unless you want to. But again, that's all up to you. That's the beauty of having your own business, is that you call the shots. It's your business. You do what you want to do. And that kind of ties in with what I say about listening to everybody. There's a lot of voice actors that have a social media presence that give advice, of course, myself included. I say listen to all of them and soak it all in. And then take little bits of what they say and apply it to your own business, what you think is right or what you think is something that is applicable to your business. You don't have to do exactly what this person says or what this person says. Just take it all in and make your own decisions. Okay, where do we leave off? And there's Robert. Sorry, 111 high for the day. 1 hour ahead. Oh my gosh. I'm really reluctant to even say it out loud, but so far we haven't hit 120 yet, and I'm hoping we don't get there, because that would be just amazing. My knock on wood, don't happen. Gia says, I use both Adobe and Audacity. Do you have a reason that you use both? I'm always interested when people say they use 2 different DAWs. Or is it because you're familiar with Audacity, so you're doing work on it, but then sort of learning Adobe on the side? Oh, you answered my question already. Adobe for editing, Audacity for checking stats. You can totally check stats in Adobe Audition. And I have a few videos here on my channel where I show you how to do that, because getting rid of that one time-consuming step is going to save you time in the long run. So I would say learn how to check the stats. It's not going to be a one-button, checker. You're going to have to go check a couple different places in Adobe Audition. But I think ultimately it will take you less time once you learn it. Excuse me. Laura says, just curious, do you hard limit to -1 dB or -3? I know ACX prefers -3, but curious if you go louder for more commercial work. Thanks, Angela. I actually don't hard limit at all. And some people have mentioned this to me before, but when I'm recording, the recording goes in, the volume goes in a little bit low. And then I apply my effects, which increase the volume, and then I normalize to -3 dB. And most of the time, my voiceovers end up being between -3 dB and -6 dB. And then I can always increase the overall volume again if I need to. But that's generally where they end up. But I don't hard limit at all, because I find with hard limiting, you end up cutting off. It's basically just like a brick wall. So any of those natural peaks of your voice, it just cuts them right off if you hard limit. So you're losing some of the natural nuance of your voice. So I don't hard limit. I start out low and then just increase the volume. But then again, with that, you're increasing the overall volume, then you're also increasing your noise floor, you're increasing the volume of everything else. So it's kind of like it's a delicate balance of finding just how much noise reduction to use or how much noise you need to remove from your studio in order to get to that point. But once you have all of that figured out, then it's just like a couple of buttons that you push in your DAW in post, and then you move on with life. But tangent. But see, I guess to answer your question, I don't hard limit. I just increase or decrease the volume, and usually my last step is normalizing to -3 dB and then adjusting the volume again if necessary. But usually around between -3 and -6 dB is what they end up being. Gia is answering Grant Bunting. Skillshare is very helpful, and I watch one video a day, but I was told never to gate. Never to gate. What did I miss at Grant? I have to go back up to Grant. Oh, for a noise gate? Yeah, noise gates can be a little bit tricky. There's a super small sweet spot for noise gates. Robert Palmore says, fanless computers are really good. They are just now coming into their own. That is really good to know, because I think, again, when I was looking for one a couple of years ago before I built the beast, as I call it, I was looking for a fanless computer, but PC. I know Mac has some options that are, I think they're called fanless, aren't they? But yeah, I would imagine that the technology advancing as it is, that we're going to see a lot more really cool things coming in the future. Sally says, which interface or mic preamp do you use? My interface is a Focusrite Claret USB, I think is what it's called. But it's actually USB-C, and then that plugs into my computer. And then I do also use a DBX 286S. I bought that first. I've had this since the very beginning, and I thought it was going to be helpful. I saw someone else had one, because it is also a mic preamp, but it also has some effects on it. Like it has a de-esser, it has a noise gate, it has a little bit extra juice for some mics. It has enhancer for high and low. It has a few different other effects and settings on it, which I thought would be useful at the time. But over time, I decided not to use any of the effects on the DBX, but just use it just for a little extra juice. And I do still use the noise gate on it, just a little bit, slightly, just because I am perfectly positioned in this complex, 15 feet away from a playground, and from all of my neighbors are really super close. So it's just an extra little backup. But then again, noise gates are very, very tricky, really hard to get perfect. But that's what I use. Gia says, my noise is landscapers that come and park in front of my home. Yes, same. But luckily, they're only here one day a week. So I can plan out my week as far as work goes as to what day to do what, because I know, Thursdays are going to be just noisy for half the day. That stinks. I'm hoping they're not out there forever. Grant says, vocal booths to go are made from Audio Blanket's metal pop-up frames or PVC. They seem to be a good place to start for less than $1,000. You could, for anybody, for anybody a little bit more good with their hands, you could always go to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, home improvement store and build this kind of booth yourself with PVC and moving blankets and things of that nature. But if you don't want to bother with it, then vocal booths to go are basically the same thing. I'm sure they have like packages that are in different sizes, so you could buy one that's appropriate for the size that you're working in. But yeah, I know a lot of people that have used the same sort of PVC booth to work in. Joy West says, hello, everyone from Southfield, Michigan, where it's going to be hot today. Join the hot club, Joy. It's everybody here is pretty much saying the same. It's a hot one. It's a hot one. Oh my goodness. Someone just Gia, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I love that. So kind. Bayou Voiceovers LLC says, do you offer coaching? I don't necessarily consider myself a coach. I do offer one-on-one sessions through my website because sometimes you just have a bunch of questions and you just want somebody to ask directly and to kind of interact with. I do offer those. And then I also have mentorship programs, which I didn't know what else to really call them, but I guess that's what they are, where I meet with you once a week and for either 4 weeks or 12 weeks. And I just kind of meet you where you are in your journey and maybe walk you through setting up your profiles, or maybe walk you through setting up your equipment, or, maybe helping you with audiobook narration, whatever it is. Then I will meet with you once a week to kind of help you get through whatever obstacle or hurdle that you're going through, but not necessarily coach. I guess it is coaching, isn't it? But I'm just sharing with you what I already know and helping you the best I can. Gia says, love it. Thank you again. It was very sweet of you. I appreciate you. Gia says also auditions. Excuse me, that frog. Auditions, 1 to 2 hours, or is a half hour for recording and half hour for editing? Oh, I got you. So you're spending an hour with auditions. Is that one audition, or how many auditions is that in an hour? Because if that's one audition, then I think we need to focus on streamlining your process a little bit so you can get multiples done in that hour, because an hour is a good chunk of time is a good chunk of time. So if you could dedicate even just that hour, maybe every day, every other day, of getting maybe 3 auditions within that hour done. I mean, granted, it's going to depend on what else you're doing, right? Because if you're got work and then you got to make dinner and help with homework, all of that stuff, if you can dedicate that 1 hour, whatever it is, just set that goal for yourself, and that will definitely help you. Bayou Voiceovers LLC says, are there any websites that offer scripts for auditioning without violating any copyrights? There are a lot of voiceover sites. Edge Studio, I believe, voices.com, Gravy for the Brain, I believe, also has practice scripts, but you don't want to use their scripts for demos. I believe most of those sites, you'll have to read the fine print, but I believe most of those sites don't want you to use them for demos. They're there for practice, for in your own studio by yourself for practicing, but not necessarily for demos. But if you want scripts for demos, there's nothing wrong with writing one yourself. You know, if you are an adult, which you are because you're here watching this YouTube video, then, or I guess not a toddler is what I mean. If you're here on your own volition watching this show, then you can recollect any of the commercials that you've heard, right? On TV, on the radio, in a podcast, wherever it is, just kind of think of all of those commercials, the verbiage used, how it's delivered, and then, pick up the pen on your desk and write something down about, sell this pen. Write down a script about selling this pen, the way that it's shaped, how smooth the ink flows, the color. It's just absolute awesomeness, whatever it is. And make your own script and then record a demo with it. For audiobooks, you can use a book off your shelf. For ACX, they actually recommend that you do this. And then they say that even if the author of the book that you used has a problem, they'll take it down. No big deal. But I've actually done that myself. But if you still don't want to use a book off your shelf, if you just want to err on the side of absolute caution, you could go to Gutenberg.org, Project Gutenberg, and select one of the books in the public domain there to use for samples. But I say write your own script. There's nothing wrong with that. Gia says, went full-time between that and notebook covers for KDP on Amazon. Ooh. Covers for KDP on Amazon. That is a good one. You should put that gig on Fiverr. And then also, if you're already doing notebook covers, start to teach yourself to do like regular book covers. There's a big market for graphic designers who can design ebook covers. Sean Lester 007 says, in the slower times, I think about what kind of work I would like to do and create some samples. I found a Batman script and a Superman and had some fun acting out the parts. That is awesome. I am Batman. That is super cool. I think that's really interesting. And that's a great way to spend your downtime, is creating new demos, maybe playing with adding in some sound effects and music, trying something new that you haven't tried before so you learn a new skill in the process. Use that time to move yourself forward. Robert Palmore says, high of 114 just a few days ago. Not only cook an egg, but add a steak to it. Oh my goodness. Ugh, that is too hot. Gia says, Audacity has the app for ACX check, one button and it works. Yeah, I'm familiar with the ACX checker, but Audition, there is a way to do it in Audition, and it literally takes me 15 seconds. That way you don't have to download, export, download, upload, check, bang, you don't have to do all of that. But it's up to you. Do whatever you want to do. Gia Sanchez says, but thank you. Sean Lester 007 says, I bought a TZ Stellar too. Oh, I've heard really good things about those. And I'm now tweaking my DAW to compensate for the differences from my previous one. How much time do you expect to take re-engineering after buying a new mic? That was one of my biggest fears in taking a new mic for a test drive. Because after getting my Sennheiser, and I think right before my Sennheiser, I had the Rode NT1A, there was such a big difference in sound. I pretty much had to, just like you said, re-engineer everything. But after I bought the Sennheiser, I called up the master, Tim Tippett, and had him design a new equalizer and a couple of quick buttons. based on this room and this microphone. So he really helped me out in that respect of getting sort of re-engineered properly using this microphone. But in any time that you introduce a new piece of equipment, something else new in your studio, new studio wall coverings, whatever it is, it'll change the sound of your studio slightly. And then you will have to go back into your effects and re-engineer so it sounds right. And I think that was one of the things I was most afraid of in unboxing that Lewitt and using it, is having to go back in there again and start tweaking things. Not only that, but anytime that you unplug or move anything, you always run the risk of something not working again. That was one of the biggest fears for me, probably unfounded, but that's just my neurosis. I'm always afraid of if I touch it, something is going to happen, right? Gia says, "Hi, Joy." Hi, Joy. Hi, Gia. Gia says, "You have helped me a lot, and I have the first two NS1 and D breathe, but my S's are insane. RX is a little out of my range. Would love to meet with you." I love the NS1 for denoise, for noise reduction. It's one of the better ones. The RX, I do have to say though that the RX7 plugins are some of the best audio repair plugins out there, and I am very, very pleased with my purchase, my investment in my business. But I get it; they are not cheap. But the deep breath is one that I find very, very interesting. I don't think there is a plugin out there for deep breath that is absolutely perfect yet. I mean, in terms of, if you think about how the deep breath works, right? You copy or learn a breath, right? Then to remove from the rest of the clip. But all your breaths are going to be different. They're going to be loud, shallow, quiet, quick, long, deep. Your breaths are very, very varied. So using one particular frequency of breath that you copied to learn which breath to remove, they're all going to be different going forward. So it's not really a set and forget kind of a plugin, the deep breath. So I don't even use the deep breath plugins. I just copy room tone and then I paste it over a big breath or use it to add additional pause or space, right? That's basically what I do. I don't even use the deep breath. But the Isotope RX9 plugins are really, really a great investment. When you're ready. JCC AOL says, "This is a question for everyone. If you had to have a Mount Rushmore of voice actors, male or female, who would you choose?" That's a great question. I'd be really, really interested to see what everybody's answer is. Mount Rushmore of voice actors. I think for me, one of them would be Scott Brick. Another one would be Anne Ganguza. And I'll have to think about the others. But I'll be interested to see what everybody else says. Yuri Narrator, or Nader, not narrator, narrator on the brain. "I read something interesting on BuzzFeed today. Thoughts on using dog urine to activate all the vocal cords? No, thank you. No, thank you." Gia says, "Yes, one edition. I'm new." Yes, one edition. I'm not sure what that means, Gia. First edition, maybe? I'm not sure what you mean. Robert Palmore says, "For a booth that is a little more sturdy, shop for EMT tent fittings. These fittings are steel with screws to tighten and make them easy to disassemble. Buy EMT at any electrical supply improvement." You sound like a infomercial. uh, Gia says, "It's now my full-time job." Awesome. That is sweet. Evil Leprechaun says, "Just got my first job this weekend." Oh, hold on. Had to be done. It had to be done. Excited but super nervous. I'm gonna miss something. What are some common reasons ACX would deny a submission? Common reasons ACX would kick it out of quality assurance would be not meeting the parameters. Most often, I find that the room tone at the head and the tail are not short or long enough. Room noise, meaning your noise floor, is not at the appropriate level. Um, Extraneous noises, I think I've seen before, but most often, or even like echo, if you have a lot of reverb in your room, I've seen that one too. Not in my own, but in other people that I've talked to. I think most of the ones that I have seen was just either not an issue, like the software found an issue, but there wasn't, and we just resubmitted it, and then it was fine. So I don't know what that was. But another time was I had left just like a hair, not enough room tone at the head of a file, and then something else really, really easy to fix. I don't remember what it was, but whatever it is, most often you can fix it's fixable. So I wouldn't panic about screwing up the first time. Everybody has screwed up at one time or another. It's just part of being human. So just be human and make the mistakes, but learn from them when you do make them. No big deal. Robert Palmore says, by the way, EMT is also considered a pole. I'm watching you. VoiceOver Van Deen says, for those exceeding their noise floor specs, when increasing volume or normalizing, it's worth looking into dynamics processing. It's in Reaper, so I'm sure it'll be in other DAWs too. Yes, it is also in Adobe Audition. Joy West says, Angela, how do you get rid of sinus congestion when you're trying to do your voiceover work? Oh, sinus. I hate my sinuses. I have the worst sinuses. I have like chronic sinus issues. But what I find is the Simply Saline works for trying to clear and to reduce some of the inflammation. Most of the time, being out here in Arizona, dropping stuff in the desert, just using like an allergy sinus spray to again reduce inflammation and stuff definitely helps. Some have said humidifiers or misters are good too. Hot tea, because I usually have like the sinus and throat thing, hence all of the vocal issues that I have. Plus, I think it also has to do with COVID. I had COVID 2 years ago, and it's still not quite right. My sinuses, speak of the devil, my sinuses haven't been quite right ever since. So it's just something that you have to work around, even if it's a chronic sinus thing. It is what it is. You just have to find a way to just still remain positive and just work around it, work through it. But those are what I do. Hot tea also helps to soothe my throat. Gia Sanchez says low content books, but that is great advice. Low content books. Good job, Gia. Goodness gracious. As soon as I talk about it, I'm just going to be a complete frog now. Bayou Voiceovers LLC says, thank you. You are amazing and very helpful. You are amazing. And thank you for that. I appreciate that. Gia Sanchez says, please share. Please share what? Please share what? Did I miss something? Joy West says, hi, Gia, how are you? Robert Palmore says, for noise floor and other background interruptions, Blue Angels, Waves Clarity VX, worth looking into. I agree. I have heard really great things about the Clarity VX plugin from Waves. I personally downloaded that plugin as well. I tried to use it, and mind you, this is when it first came out, so it might have been updated by now. But when I very first used it, I tried it on an audiobook file, and it ended up adding like a glitch every few minutes in the audio file. So I don't know if it was completely compatible with a larger or a longer running file, maybe anything over maybe 10, 15 minutes. but it might have been changed by now. So, Robert, if you have some experience with Clarity, have you used it on an audiobook file? Does it work okay? Robert Palmore says Scott Brick and R.C. Bray. For sure, Scott Brick. I'm a big fan of Scott Brick's. Gia Sanchez says that's for Mount Rushmore. At Joy, trying to jump off this voiceover game and be lucrative. And you? As far as Mount Rushmore, Angela, Susan, Bill DeWeese, and myself, I'm answering you, but you are seeing the answers later. Yeah, there's takes a little bit to get through all the comments. Susan, Bill DeWeese, and myself. On Mount Rushmore? Susan Fouché, perhaps? Is that who you're referring to? Then Gia says, one audition wasn't answered to how many auditions I do in an hour. Just started 3 days ago. Oh, you will get faster. I promise you. It's very, very grueling now, but don't be hard on yourself because everybody goes through the same thing. It takes a little while to get used to all of the new technology and learning how to use the DAW. So it's okay. You will get faster as you go along and practice. Everything will start to become second nature. The voice isn't hard. The voice isn't hard. Have act in plays and movies as extra stage support actress. Oh, cool. So you have a little bit of an acting background too. So that's fabulous. Robert Palmore says both North and South are considered a pole. Okay. Binyam Kefelgen? Did I pronounce that right? Probably not. Does anybody feel happy in the morning and sad at night like you wasted one day of summer without doing nothing? I do feel sometimes that I haven't done enough, or maybe I feel guilty that I haven't done enough. But if you really just sit down and replay your day, and then you discover that you did do X, Y, and Z, that was still something to move you forward. But if you just sat on the couch the entire day and stared at the TV, that's one thing. But I don't think anybody really does that, right? We all do something, right, during the day. Even if you're interacting with other people on social media, that's still doing something if it's voiceover related, right? You're still networking and making connections with people. But don't be too hard on yourself. You should be enjoying some of your free time too. You should be enjoying some of that downtime. Because you never know when it's going to get super busy and then you won't have any time. You'll be reminiscing about that downtime you had and how you should have enjoyed it more. Sally Morrill says, same thing happened to me with COVID-19. Yeah, my sinuses have not been the same since at all. At home with Tom and Rhonda Howard, I am a nurse and I am seeing an increase in cases, but with less serious symptoms. Yeah, you don't really hear much about it anymore. Not much. Although I had a big slew of clients in the last few weeks that have said, sorry, I'm late, or can you do this quickly because I've been in bed with COVID. I have a lot of clients that have been sick with COVID. So I know it's still out there, but you just don't hear about it that much anymore. Sally Morrill said, had COVID in September 2021, still chronic sinus issues. Yeah, same. I was, when was that? That was like November of 2020 when I had it. Still sinus issues. Robert Palmore says, for sinuses, consider a neti pot. Yes, I have used a neti pot. Well, thank you for mentioning that. I've used a neti pot as well, and it does help, sort of. But I don't know if I just have like mass inflammation like all the time. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like I can get it clear enough. Like it still feels congested and just bleh. But a neti pot is definitely a good option. Stacy K, and you can buy those on Amazon and pretty much any like CVS, Walgreens. Stacy K said, gotta head out, darlings. Have a great day. Bye, Stacy. Probably already missed you, but thanks for joining. Head out. Bye. Bye, Stacy. Gia says, please share was regarding quick ways to check ACX in 15 seconds. Oh, that I would have to show my screen, and I'm not set up currently to do that because I'd have to have Adobe Audition and then a file, and we've already reached an hour, but I do have a couple videos here on my channel. I believe Audiobook, RMS, something of that nature, that show you how to do that in Adobe Audition. It's a little bit more complicated than just explaining it. To learn it, for me anyway, I'm a visual learner. I have to see it, and then I can kind of remember and then apply it to my own Adobe Audition. Oops, I clicked it too many times. Russell Marvin. Hello, Russell. Hot tea with honey works well for a sore throat. Yes. Yes, it does. I've also heard some people say whiskey. But hot tea usually works for me. Robert Palmore says, never used it on a AB. Works great on the short stuff I've used it on. What is a secret? That's for Clarity VX. Yeah, I've used it on shorter files and it worked fine, but anything longer than I would say maybe 15 minutes, for me anyway, it would add like a glitch every couple of minutes. So I'm not sure if that's been updated and resolved, but I'd be interested to know. Gia Sanchez says, yes, Susan Fouché. Yeah, she's great. Catherine Beers. Catherine. Is it Catherine or Catherine? I don't know why my brain does that. Catherine Beers says, first chance to listen live. I have learned so much from you. Well, that's great. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that my ramblings are useful. Joy says, thank you so much for the sinus congestion tips. It's horrible over here, and I'm scared of messing up when I want to do voiceover work. Everybody's scared of messing up, and it's okay to mess up because we're human. We're not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect, and you should be fine with being imperfect. The great thing is that when you do mess up, you can fix it, right? When you make a mistake while you're narrating, you can get yourself a fancy little dog clicker like me and then click to mark the mistakes, or you can learn punch and roll, which is a technique where you stop where you messed up and then re-record over with another take. You can mess up however many times you want to. I do it all the time. I stumble over stuff all the time. It's perfectly normal. Don't be too hard on yourself. Completely normal. Joy says, thanks, Robert Palmore. And then Robert says, my comments do get polarized. It's a goofball. Gia Sanchez says, I also wanted to clarify about taking your training class. Also lost the video where you posted Fiverr settings, looked everywhere. Fiverr settings. Lost the video where you posted Fiverr settings, looked everywhere. Are you talking about my Fiverr course on my website? Because you should be able to access that directly on my website. Let me know. Let me know what you mean about that and see if we can get it fixed. JCCAOL says, my Mount Rushmore would be Clancy Brown, Mark Hamill, Jennifer Hale, and Tara Strong. Ooh, those are good ones. Those are good ones. Okay, I think we're going to hop over to check the poll one last time, and then we'll finish up with the comments. And then I also wanted to remind you that in less than an hour, I have a premiere coming right here on my channel for the video I did, finally, of the Lewitt 440 Pure microphone versus the Sennheiser 416. I did narrate with the Sennheiser, narrate with the Lewitt, so it's kind of like a back and forth so you can hear the difference. But the price difference between these two microphones is just huge, and the Lewitt is, I think, a great microphone, but I did the whole video on it, and it's coming up right after this live. Not immediately after, but it's coming up in the next hour. So if you can hang out and watch it with me, and there'll be a live chat. It's a premiere, so I can live chat and answer questions. See, I mess stuff up all the time. All right, so again, really quick, the poll was, what do you do when voiceover or audiobook work is slow? And looks like we have 37 votes, and 5% of you said market, promote, refresh. 8% said audition like crazy. 19% said learn a new skill, which is important. And 68% of you said all of the above. Kudos to all of you who do all of that. I think doing any one of those is a good way to keep moving forward, but doing all of them is, I think, the best way to go. A little bit of everything, covering all your bases, so to speak. I think those are all great. And then Joy says, COVID is on the rise here in Michigan. Oh my gosh. I don't know why we don't hear, well, I think I do know why we don't hear as much about it anymore, but yeah, I think it's going to be here for some time, and we still need to be careful. Robert says, Netty several times with more salt in it might help. Yeah, maybe, but I'm afraid of drying them out too much, or I don't know, maybe I'm just neurotic. I don't know. Plus you got stuff running in your face and your nose. I don't know. I just got to get over my own fears. Catherine says, very useful. And then Rustic Hillbilly says, Navage or neti pot. The Navage thing is like a motorized jet and vacuum, right? So you have a jet or a pad in each nostril. One is jetting water in and the other is vacuuming it out. So it's essentially just running around your sinuses. And so it's pushing and pulling stuff out. And then there's like this little tank at the bottom where all of the goo that comes out goes. And I don't know about that either. I think that would freak me out. Have you used the Navage? Does that work for you? Russell Marvin says, I learned so much about your messing up and ramblings. I also learned what not to do and what I can try. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that my tangents and ramblings are useful information. Gia says, no two different things. You had a video for Fiverr settings, and the other was for privately meeting up. Will I find that on your site? Yes. There's one-on-one sessions, is what I call them, one-on-one. Those are on my site. And then I also have mentorship programs if you wanted to meet with me once a week, if you have maybe a bigger issue that you need help getting through or help getting setting up things or stuff like that, things of that nature. I had a video for Fiverr settings. I haven't removed any, but I'll have to check and see if maybe something is hung up somewhere for some reason. I'm not sure. But I haven't deleted any videos. It should still be there somewheres. You can search by keywords in my YouTube channel. You can search for Fiverr. Or maybe it's time that I just need to go in there and break them up into separate playlists. I think there's enough videos in there now that I can probably separate them into playlists. I should probably do that at some point. Maybe if I have time, I'll do that today. Make it a little bit easier to find things. Professor Tracy says, hello from Minnesota. Glad you are keeping the frog away. I'm not, actually. The frog. I think the frog is going to be a permanent resident due to the whole COVID sinus thing. You know, after having COVID, my sinuses have never been the same. Now I have like this crazy drip thing. It just never goes away. So I'm constantly just clearing my throat, which is horrible, but you know, reality. It is what it is. You just something else that you have to kind of work through. CZ says, hello, my name is Calvin. What would you recommend to do after setting up a studio? After you set up your studio, depending on what you want to do, I would definitely soak up all the information that you can regarding what it is that you want to do. If it's voiceover or audiobook narration, YouTube. There are a ton of just treasure troves, you know, channels with so much great information on them. And then when you're ready, if you found somebody that you feel comfortable with, find yourself someone that you can get coaching from. Because having that one-on-one interaction is everything. It really is. Because it's one thing to watch a screen and to just be kind of talked at, right? But you're getting all this information, but then to have someone to interact with, just someone bounce ideas off of, someone who can push you in the moment or answer a question in the moment, whatever it is definitely going to help you get started. And me myself going, if in retrospect I should have reached out for help sooner than I did. That's one thing I definitely would have changed. But getting training and learning the lingo and learning all that you can is definitely going to help. Joy says, sure, I'll be there. I'll be there. Robert Palmore says, how do you mount a microphone on a pole? Okay, Robert. Catherine Beers. Catherine, why do I keep saying Catherine? Is it Catherine or Catherine? You can call me Kathy instead if you like. Thank goodness, because my brain is just can't wrap around your name for some reason. All right, Kathy, thank you for that. Professor Tracy says, just keep practice, CZ. Yes, practice, practice, practice. Learn all that you can. Get training if possible. But again, YouTube is just full of information and people offering free information. So soak it all in and then get training when you're ready. Robert says, I'm going to scroll down here. Can't dry out too much if you already have too much to begin with. That is true. I think it's just, maybe it just freaks me out too much, I think is what it is. Gia Sanchez says, listen, this tells me how much I stalk your videos. Scary. LOL. You did a series on Fivers like Upworks. Can't find Upworks. Fiverr disappeared. Okay. I'll take a look and see what happened, but I haven't received any kind of, excuse me, copyright strikes or anything of that nature. So I will definitely look through my videos once we're done here on this live and see if there's any issues. But I'm glad that you found them helpful, but I'll have to figure out where they went. Thank you for letting me know that. Kathy says, yes, coaching first. Coaching in the beginning is definitely going to help. Catherine. Oh, I'm so sorry. Robert says, no, I won't. Okay. Why? CZ says, thanks a lot. And you do commercials, right, for VO? I have done a couple, but most of what I do is long form narration. So I do a lot of e-learning, online tutorials, online courses, audiobooks. My niche is long form. So that's mainly what I do: documentaries, how-to videos, explainer videos, stuff like that. And I've done a few video games. It's funny because I understand that I sound a lot like Alexa or Siri, especially if I'm doing certain types of reads. And that's okay. I'll have to just accept it. And I also tend to over enunciate, which doesn't help the whole automated sounding thing. So what I do find is another niche of mine is that I do a lot of AI recordings. People hire me to sound like a robot. So that works, right? I'm using something that is a part of me, right? It's just a part of my voice that I sound that way, and I'm embracing it and making it work for me. So, don't ever be hard on yourself for what you do or don't sound like. I mean, whatever it is that your voice sounds like, whatever your strengths are, even if it could be considered a weakness by some, because some people have said, you sound like Alexa, you're a friggin' robot. That's fine. It works for me. I can't help the way that my voice sounds. I can help probably that I do over enunciate things, but I want to be clear. And that's just always the way I've been. I'm a lover of literature. I believe that words should be pronounced as they are. I can't help it. Proper English. It's a peeve. I can't get it. Gia says, I'm signing up for membership or signing up for membership now. Awesome. We'd love to have you. Kathy says, it's okay. I'm so sorry. Butchering your name. Kathy says, just got an e-learning demo done, waiting for it to come back. Oh, awesome. That is so cool. I think it's time for me to get some professional demos. I want to hire Anne Ganguza to be my e-learning coach and to have her help me make a demo. That's on my list of things to do. I love Anne. I think she's got a great voice and a great delivery. And then Brenda says, thank you for watching, Brenda. I wish I could get help with the simple setup and programs I need to get started. I have the mic, but that's as far as I've got. That's how we all start out. I did anyway, with just a computer and a microphone, a USB mic. But again, YouTube is free. YouTube is free, and there's a ton of information on there. You can learn so much by just watching voice actors, audio technicians, sound engineers on YouTube and applying all that information. Booth Junkie, that's another great channel to watch. He does a lot of mic comparisons and reviews of different technology and stuff like that. Fabulous. There's a lot of great channels out there on YouTube to help you get moving forward from where you are. Kathy says, now taking course in Audacity 5 weeks long. Oh, wow. That's great. I wasn't aware that they had an Audacity course, unless is that in like Udemy or someplace like that? Kathy says, raring to go. Good for you. Love that attitude. Get it. Joy says, at Catherine, me too, but by the time we're done, we'll be Audacity pros, and that's okay. There's still voice actors that have been doing this for a long time that still use Audacity because there's nothing wrong with free. Again, if it speaks to you, if you can work it, if you can successfully use it for voiceover, why not? You don't have to change if you don't want to. If you're happy with it, you're happy with it. Be an Audacity pro and then train other people on how to use it. Pay it forward. Gia Sanchez says, add Kathy, where did you get your demo done? And then Kathy says, I'm visual kinetic. And then she answers the question down here. It's done by a voice actor. She's not going to share who. But there are, just as I always say, if you have other skills that are related to voiceover and everything within it, offer those skills. So there's a lot of voice actors out there that have demo making experience. So they will offer demo production services. There's a lot of voice actors that do that. Ralph says Larry Hudson has a 5-week course on Audacity. Kathy says I can if it's okay. Of course. Yeah, I'm not the monopoly here. Kathy says yes through Larry Hudson. For the Audacity course? Or, okay, it must be the Audacity course. Well, that's cool. That's absolutely cool. Robert, I see your comment. Stop it. Gia says, I finished, so I will receive an email on meeting dates. And at Kathy, I thought they may want to get paid is all, but it's okay. I will look him up. I finished, so I'll receive an email on meeting dates. Did you, I'm not sure what you mean, Gia. Did you sign up for, hang on, let me just check my notes. Oh, you did. Okay. Oh, you signed up for the 4-week mentorship with me. Thank you. I just got the notification. Yes, I will reach out to you after the live is done, and then we can figure out a good day and time to meet up every week. I look forward to working with you. Thank you for that. Kathy says demo through Great Voice. Oh, yeah. Ralph Toll says yes, Audacity and Adobe. He does both. Larry does. Larry Hudson does both. Again, if it's something that you know, offer that skill. Rustic Hillbilly says the Navage works great. My youngest son uses one every day for allergies. I don't think he's used meds for a long time. Interesting. I don't know if I could. That thing on my face, it freaks me out. But I've been looking at those for a while. Oh, I skipped Robert. No, I won't. No, I won't. What does that mean, Robert? Kathy says, Larry teaches Adobe Audition too. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Gia Sanchez says one-on-one with, yes, I just saw the notification, so I'll reach out to you after the live. And then Robert Palmore says, totally tubular, man. Do I sound like a Valley girl? Is my Valley girl? I am a Valley girl, believe it or not. Is it coming out? Kathy says, yes, he does. Brenda says, it's been a pleasure being able to catch a live with you. How much is course? I have a few courses on my website. There's one on getting started with Fiverr. There's one for getting started with Upwork. There's one on which I had a blast making, one for meditation, ASMR, and affirmations and adding music and all that stuff. There's one on success mindset. And then, of course, there's the platinum group where we meet every week and I give scripts and ebooks and stuff like that with the membership. And then there's one-on-one sessions. I know a lot of people like to learn different ways. Some people don't want to be part of a group. Some people want to learn on their own. Some people want to work with someone one-on-one. So I tried to make it a few different options for, you having to learn or being able to learn new things. But they're all on my website, voiceoverangela.com, under the VO workshop tab. That's just what I call the whole, learning space is the VO workshop. Gia says, at Angela, I do have Zoom. Good, because we'll meet via Zoom. Michael V says, Booth Junkie has a free course on setting up Reaper for voiceover. Yeah, Reaper is another DAW that I've heard a lot about, and Booth Junkie, Mike Delgadio, really loves Reaper and says really great things about Reaper. Brenda says, good information. Thank you. Welcome. Robert says, for everyone, Navage is a power washer for your nose. Yeah, it's a little intimidating, I think. For me anyway. Joy says, not having to take any medication for allergies or sinus is a good thing. Absolutely. I also am one of those, I'm a homeopath. I like to use homeopathic medicines, and there is a homeopathic medicine on Amazon. And again, I have to say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, but there's a few homeopathic medicines on Amazon that relieve post-nasal drip. I don't know exactly how it is they work, but they do seem to work, which I've had to use a few times to sort of kind of clear things up in there a bit. But I think my next step is power washer for your nose. Professor Tracy says, like for sure, dude, rock on. Gag me with a spoon. Kathy says, waiting for demo to come back before I set up Fiverr and Upwork. Yeah, I'm excited for you. Getting a new demo is very exciting. Kathy says, got to log on for work. Oh, well, thanks for joining us today. Robert says, homeopath, is that the front walkway? That is the front walkway. God, what's wrong with me? Homeopathic medicine? Oh my gosh, you like Robert, you just love to poke me now. Yeah. All right. So I think that is it for today. We have a good half an hour before the premiere of the Lewitt 440 Pure microphone versus the Sennheiser 416, which is a premiere here on my channel in about a half an hour. Please be sure to check it out. I will be there live chatting. So I hope I answered most of your questions today anyway. I got through all of the comments. But I really appreciate everybody's time, and thank you for joining. And again, thank you for the 13,000 subscribers. It's nuts. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, Tuesday, 12 p.m. EST. I'll see you then. Bye.